Hi, I'm Antonio and welcome to BrickBits. Today, we'll be reviewing and rating the 2018 LEGO Ideas Ship in a Bottle. It's made up of 962 pieces, and people liked it so much that LEGO re-released it in 2020. This set comes from a LEGO Ideas submission by Jake Sadovich, although it differs significantly from his original submission. The original design is much more detailed. The official release is much smaller and better proportioned. LEGO's actually managed to maintain a lot of detail in such a small size. The bottle can be a little bit of a pain to assemble, especially here at the top where you connect the bottleneck. These large dome pieces are actually pretty cool. Now you might be surprised to find out that these aren't anything new. We've had these since the 90s in what would be equivalent to a Friends set today. These top pieces are pretty rare and they're very predominant in this set. And unfortunately, they just come loose in the box. So mine came a little scratched from the box being shaken around and everything, and I understand that's pretty hard to avoid, but it would have been really nice if they were individually wrapped so we wouldn't have that scratching issue. The bottom of this bottle is really cool and really fun to assemble, but it comes at the cost of visibility. You see, from the back you can't actually see in very well, although it is nice of LEGO to have included these two large windows to make up for it. Interestingly, LEGO chose to use a metallic card rim here at the front actually to represent the metal that goes around a cork. And you know what? It doesn't look out of place. And actually, up here at the bottleneck you can see one of the exclusive pieces to this set. It's a round 2x2 tile, and it has two letters on it, TC. More on that later. Now you might be curious to know how LEGO decided to instruct you to put all the studs in. And it's quite as simple as simply dumping 284 studs in. Now you might be pretty quick to dismiss it, but the stand is also pretty interesting. It's got two hilariously inaccurate globes on the front. Apparently California is an island. And if you do happen to knock off one of the globes by accident, you are going to have to disassemble it and reassemble it back on. And that's because the globe is actually held on via a purple minifigure head. Up at the front, we have a Leviathan plaque, which is, by the way, an exclusive and printed piece. And in the center, under the ship, we have this very cool compass. Now this compass is non-functional, but you can manually twist it around to whichever direction is north for you. Interestingly, it's printed on the other side, which is normal, but they reversed the printing process so that way you could actually see it from the bottom versus the top of the dish like you might normally see. Now this set does actually use color on the inside to make it a little bit more interesting, and to me, that's a plus. Now I'm not sure if this was just a really lucky coincidence, or if this was intended in the design, but the 1x1 squares here actually act as a key to keep the whole bottle in place on the mount. So surprisingly, it's very stable. Overall, the mount is surprisingly sturdy. Now let's take a look at the ship inside. The ship makes use of a bunch of cool and interesting building techniques. Has these little cannons with golden covers, and I really like how they assembled the masts. These 5 dragon squid flag patterns are also unique to this set. I'm not sure why LEGO chose not to put a 1x1 tile on the back for the flag, but this does the job. The cannons are pretty cool, although I feel like they could have used a feather piece to make it look like one had fired. You can see that here on the inside it also has color. Now this ship isn't actually very strong in construction, especially here at the top, but it doesn't really need to be seeing as it's enclosed in a bottle. I like the use of these 1x2 grill pieces they used on the back of the ship, but I feel like this is one area where the original design really was a lot better, although of course that wouldn't fit in this scale. Now this ship actually doesn't quite fit in the bottle so nicely as it seems. So here at the top actually there's this small lip where the ship is actually pushing just a little hard on the top pieces. And now this is just such a small amount that it really doesn't matter and you can't even really notice, but I thought it was worth bringing up. Now let's talk about this red tile here at the front. It's supposed to be a wax seal, and it's got 2 letters printed on it, TC. Now this took me some time to figure out what it meant, but I came to find that it actually represents the initials of the guy who designed this set. I think it's important to point out that these letters aren't JS. And of course this set has undergone a lot of changes. The essence of the original design is still here, And while this doesn't really matter, I think it would have been nice on LEGO's part to include the initials of the guy who actually submitted the original idea. And now, I think it's time to give this set a bit score. Let's start off with value. This set retails for about $70, and with 962 pieces, this brings the price per piece to 7 cents. Which is a great value, but unfortunately this set doesn't come with a single minifigure, and while I would have liked to see a pirate or something with this set, it doesn't, so that brings the value score to 4 out of 8. On to collectability. This set isn't a special edition, it's not licensed, and it doesn't have any exclusive figures. But this set does have a number of unique pieces, and while it's not particularly rare, and it was available at retail, it was limited availability. So for collectability, I give it a 2 out of 8. On to buildability. The instructions are very good. The set avoids stickers in favor of printed pieces. It's not particularly good for 2 to build, and it does have color on the inside and a brick separator. The only flaw I see with this design is that lip I mentioned earlier, which I feel really could have been avoided. So because of that, it gets a buildability score of 7 out of 8. On to playability. The set is pretty durable and nothing really falls off or breaks. And while I suppose the masts of the ship aren't very strong, they're protected by the bottle itself. If you do manage to knock anything off, like the globes, they're very easy to put back on. And you can rotate the compass, and you can also manipulate the ship a little bit. This set doesn't really have much for features, but what can you expect out of a set that's inherently a model? This set is very detailed, so for playability, I give it a 7 out of 8. That brings the total bit score to 20 out of 32. I think this set makes for a great display piece, and honestly it's a great excuse to leave LEGO around the house. I wouldn't recommend it to kids, just because it's not exactly fun, but to an older audience, I definitely recommend it. Feel free to let me know in the comments what you think about this set. This has been BrickBits. Thanks for watching.